Dear friends, ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಅಕ್ಷಧಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನ ಕಲಿತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಕೊತೀನಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಕೊತೀನಿ. ಬನ್ನಿ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ದಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ SE2 ಸೆಂಟರ್ 1000 crore Ponzi scam unearthed in Odisha. Lok Sabha passes data protection bill, neither right to privacy nor right to information. It makes the government less transparent. India overcomes the Korea challenge. SC to appoint all-women panel to oversee relief in Manipur. The committee will supervise, intervene, and monitor relief and rehabilitation in this strife-torn state. Top court says it will appoint a retired IPS officer Dutt Patsalgika to monitor the overall investigation of cases registered during the violence. Armed with SC harder, ED takes Tamil Nadu minister into custody. State government submits a report on FIRs filed. Dr. Vijay Raghavendra's wife passes away. Tunnel roads, DKS wants more farms to take part. Rahul back in parliament. May open debate on a no trust motion today. Rahul Gandhi faced tribute at the Mahatma Gandhi statue in the Parliament House complex on Monday. Court halts demolition in Gurugram and no. He saved 3 from a mob in No. 6 days later, a bulldozer came visiting to demolish his house. State farms 4 teams to probe works awarded during BJP government. Bangalore Turf Club racing comes to a halt after government refuses to renew license. Sources say the government has put forth again a proposal to shift racing activities to outside the city, and its latest decision linked to that. Use of drone cameras over Mysore Palace restricted. Father and son were ran over by speeding a car. It's too bad. State Farms 4 team to probe works awarded during BJP government. Tunnel roads, DKS wants more farms to participate in project. Only 2 companies have shown interest in the EI floated by BBMP and building the proposed roads, says the Bangalore Development Minister. The project entails and converting the proposed 90 to 99 km long elevated corridor network crossing the city into tunnel routes. Citing pending bills, BPMP contractors stop ongoing projects maintenance work. Contractors claim that they are reeling under debate due to non-payment of dues. 2 detained for harassing techie over road rage in Whitefield. Batteries of traffic cameras stolen. Rapid survey highlights lack of access to free medicines in government hospitals in 12 districts. Survey by SAAK finds patients visiting government hospitals spend an average of 433 per visit. Late presentation a major factor for higher mortality in women with coronary artery disease. Kannada actor Vijay Raghavendra wife dead. New technique to research for closely merging submersive black holes developed. Pani Puri vendor kills wife, Sanders to police. 37-year-old Pani Puri vendor allegedly strangled his wife over the domestic row and surrendered to the police with the help of the security guard of his landlord in Kundala, Lee Hansen. The accused Taranath married Sarita 6 years ago, and the couple who was living in a rented house. Taranath told the police that he had borrowed a huge sum of loan and failed to repay. The couple used to have frequent fights, and on Saturday, after a fight, Taranath, in a fit of rage, strangled her and left the house after locking it from outside. The police said that the accused is giving different reasons for the murder, which is not corroborated with his claims. CID to probe Udupi voyeurism case. Three second-year paramedical diploma students were accused of capturing a video of their classmate in the college washroom on July 18th. Governor's office writes to CS to examine charges against minister. HC directs authorities to integrate a police ID system with insurance transport department photos. CM DK's old meeting with Congress legislators promised release of funds in a phased manner. I think the Cheetah project is a worthwhile experiment but not easy. There have been a lot of problems between the conservation movement and indigenous people. Conservation can and should be done with the human rights in mind, says Vance Martin. The Cheetah Conservation Fund, which has played a more significant role in the study and the sustenance of these species in the world. What are your thoughts about India's cheetah reintroduction project? What are you most proud of having accomplished in Hatfield? Bug Walks and GodDP collaborate to accelerate development of novel antibiotic to treat serious infections. Bugwalk is currently developing a compound that aims to address problems arising from serious hospital and community infections. Technical snag hampers work on Kalinidhi Kanadi project. Old time country, new age twist. Life on the pitch, my life in Indian cricket. Women at work in collapse celebration of a Pali Math Royal. Van Gogh is 360 now in Bengaluru. Satisan says he was not intimated of the move to appoint a retired Chief Justice S. Manikumar to the post, though he is a member of the selection panel. Sends the state government a dissent note. The state government chose to present a single name in the meeting. The government action is anti-democratic and arbitrary and pregnant with political intrigue. HC seeks government response to NSS plea to quash case. Balladhir Gadda laid to rest with full state honors as many join his final rites. Polavaram evacuees to get a settlement soon. China's world weave. It's postulates and a reality check. Let's read this editorial page, guys. Chinese leaders, especially current paramount leader Xi Jinping, constantly prepare to changes unseen in a century, implying that the decline of the West promoted rules based order is inevitable, and that a new Chinese promoted world order is set to prevail. Implicit also is that a Chinese driven world is better suited to a world defined by symmetry and fragmentation. Challenges unseen in a century is one of the underlying principles of Xi Jinping thought. This presupposes that the struggle for future dominance revolves around not merely military security but also technological, cultural, has also biological aspects, and that given China's rise, accelerated by technology and shaped by its economic strength and demographic potential, its success is inevitable. US as the main threat. The current crop of Chinese leaders believes that ongoing threats to China, however, remain, and that the main threat comes from the United States. They hew to the belief that growing polarization with the US society and loss of power across the globe were impacting US attitudes, causing tensions between the US and China. In turn, it had led to a marked shift in US attitudes from an earlier policy of engagement and partial containment to one of all out competition with China for global influence. The war in Ukraine talk of an increasing divide between democracies and autocracies. The forging of new security partnerships such as the AUKUK, AUKUS, Australia, the United Kingdom, and the US, and the Quad, Australia, India, Japan, and the US. China also had increased concerns that the Ukraine war could lead the US to be more assertive on Taiwan. Beijing riposte has been to enlarge its global security initiative and further expand the China-led Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Chinese scholars further believe that the world has currently entered an era of polycentric competition and cooperation. According to China, the US was unprepared, however, for a shift of this nature, and already the consequences could be seen. As for instance, in West Asia, here, as in many areas of US dominance, and previously, China was displaying the US, the Iran, Saudi Arabia truce brought about at China's initiative was an indication that US influence here was on the wane, and that China was gaining in strength in the regional and global sweepstakes. China's influence in the meantime had grown, according to Chinese sources, in quite a few international organizations such as the World Health Organization. It had also succeeded in building as many countries as possible to Chinese systems, norms, and standards. Another set of claims is that China had succeeded in having a decisive voice in various international standards setting bodies. Consequently, Chinese standards had become the staple for many countries, and together with its model of subsidized state capital, China was set to emerge triumphant. Prescriptions and reverses. Leaving aside for the moment China's worldview and its theoretical postulates as formulated by Deng Xiaoping, such as the four modernizations, which paved the way for China's emergence as an economic superstar. The reality that China confronts today appears somewhat different. The issue before China is not one of the decline of the US, as much as how China can possibly reduce the mind boggling growth of the past 2 decades of the current century, and over 800% increase in overall trade volume, an unimaginable increase in GDP, and the lifting of nearly 800 million Chinese people out of poverty. Policy prescriptions needed to maintain this kind of impetus and a tempo of growth are no way in evidence today. In marked contrast, Beijing's current economic prescriptions have led to serious reverses in recent years. Many of these policies stem from Mr. Xi efforts to provide safeguards for his more orthodox version of communist philosophy as distinguished from a market-oriented policy, accompanied by a determination to increase governmental control in the economic realm. 3. restrict private enterprise and achieve greater rule by decree. The COVID 19 pandemic, which necessitated adoption of certain draconian measures, including an unprecedented 3 year lockdown, has been responsible for a severe economic setback. Apart from hardship for its people, several laws enacted by Beijing to contain the pandemic have again adversely impacted the image of China in the eyes of the world. Many multinational SM concerns have hence prepared to leave China, being uncertain of what the future holds. Beijing's crackdown on major technology companies and the real estate sector have only added to the concerns of investors already grappling with the loss of several billions of dollars in market value. If China is to try and outdistance the US in a period that Beijing itself affirms as featuring both polycentric competition and cooperation, Beijing will need to make several shifts and changes in both approach and policy. However, the odds are stacked against China. China's current GDP growth has declined to around 3%, while China will need to more than double this figure to ensure healthy growth. Employment risks have increased, and lack of employment among youth is no longer a static statistic but an aspect of grave concern. An aging population adds to these concerns. Evidently, major shifts and changes in both approach and policies are called for, including a new economic model and an undertaking to raise wages and pursue other economic and structural reforms. What China needs to realize is that it might need to come up with an alternative theory of modernity, reducing the role of the state in promoting innovation so as to bolster the economy. If at all it hopes to beat the West's free market concepts and beliefs. The real question is whether China can indeed produce a model that can supplant the West's so called rule based international order and create one better suited to a fragmented world order. In turn, much would also depend on whether the Chinese view that the West is disintegrating is true. The only purpose the war is in Ukraine has served is to demonstrate that when a push comes to show, a disunited West can really its pure forces under US auspicious and effectively checkmate Russia. It could be seen as a vivid demonstration of the superiority of free will over managed systems. China is no doubt contemplating putting in place certain corrective steps. Beijing addition to appoint an acknowledged economist with a proven record as governor of the People's Bank of China can be expected to boost global confidence in China's banking sector. It could be a steadying influence during a period of uncertainty and might have a favorable impact. The new Chinese premier Li Qiang is again apparently making serious efforts to reinvigorate the private sector, but it's uncertain whether he would go so far as to convert China into a multi-oriented economy, which satisfies the international business community. All this is still a study in the making. On Taiwan, the issue of Taiwan, like Bankyu Ghost also arose over the scene, notwithstanding current tensions and despite the saber rattling by both sides. It would seem that a major conflict on the lines of the Ukraine conflict, one that could impact both the fortunate fortunes of China and much of the world in the Asia Pacific region, is not yet on the anvil. Any such conflict would have a severe and deleterious impact on the global economy. Notwithstanding this, neither the US nor China can possibly step back from the issue of Taiwan. One possible scenario is that it might induce more realistic efforts to define objectives of which Taiwan is merely a symbol. Strategic commentators believe that Taiwan is only one of several areas which where China and the US will find themselves in conflict in the coming period. Finding common ground at this time would be important to ensure that matters do not go out of control. neither the right to privacy nor the right to information. Let's read this. Personal data bill will boost digital economy, says NASCOM. This industry responds to the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023 that was introduced in Parliament reveals the real purpose of the bill, legalizing data mining rather than safeguarding the right of privacy. Right to privacy. The right to privacy was reaffirmed by a nine-judge constitutional bench of the Supreme Court in 2017. It set an international benchmark and illustrated the new challenges to the right to privacy posed by the digital age. The DPDP Bill 2023, which was introduced in the Lok Sabha last week, is an outcome of the debate around the right to privacy. The right to information provides us access to government documents to ensure transparency and accountability of the government. Enacted as a law, the Right to Information Act RTI 2005 has played a critical role in deepening democratic practices. The much awaited DPDP Bill 2023 ends up undermining our right to information without doing much to protect our right to privacy. Complementary or competing rights. In a crucial way, the two rights complement each other. Broadly speaking, the right to information seeks to make the government transparent to us, while the right to privacy is meant to protect us from government and increasingly private intrusions into our lives. Yet there are some tensions between the right to information and the right to privacy. For example, under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, mandatory disclosure provisions are meant to ensure that workers can monitor expenditure and also facilitate public scrutiny through social audits. Everyone has access to data about individuals and registered under the Act, including when and how much was paid to each worker. The flip side of this that has become apparent in recent times is that unscrupulous operators can monitor, even scrape at the data systematically to swindle workers of their hard-earned wages. For example, showing up at their doorstep with offers of lucrative savings or insurance or with ways to sell. However, the recently introduced DPDP Bill 2023 makes little attempts to deal with these odd questions. Instead, it makes the government less transparent to us while making us transparent to both the government and private interest. The bill states that it is a bill to provide for the processing of digital personal data in a manner that recognizes both the right of the individuals to protect their personal data and the need to process such data for lawful purposes. Section 4 Class 2 defines lawful purposes in the broadest possible manner as may any purpose which is not expressly forbidden by the law. Thus, as scrapping information on wages, pensions paid to workers, pensioners, or mobile numbers of government scheme beneficiaries from a government portals is not expressly forbidden. Data mining can merely continue. Section 36 allows the central government to ask the board, data fiduciary, or others to furnish such information as it may call for. Section 42 and 32 together make our data fair game for both government and private entities, undermining the right to information. The Right to Information Act 2005 anticipated some of these tensions and the consequent need to limit its own reach. Therefore, Section 8 of the RTI 2005 listed situations where exemption from disclosure of information would be granted. Section 8(1)(j) grants exemption from a disclosure if the information which relates to personal information sought has no relationship to any public activity or interest, or which would cause unwanted invasion of the privacy of the individual unless the public information of suffices that larger public interest that justifies disclosure. It set a high benchmark for exemption. Information which cannot be denied to the parliament or a state legislature shall not be denied to any person. The DPDP Bill 2023 suggests replacing Section 8(1)(j) with just information which relates to personal information. This will undermine the RTI 2005 To give just one example, the current requirement for public servants, including judges and Indian administrative service officers, to disclose their immovable assets with will likely to be off limits. This is indeed information related to personal information, but it serves a larger public interest. For example, to identify public servants with disproportionate proportionate assets, ignoring social, political, and legal context. The DPDP 2023 suffers from other shortcomings. For instance, the Data Protection Board, an outside body, will be under the boot of the government, as the chairperson and members are to be appointed by the central government. The DPDP Bill 2023 attempts to pass off a lame duck as a watchdog. In Europe, the General Data Protection Regulation set a high standard for data protection bill. It has a strong watchdog that operates in a society with universal literacy and a high digital and financial literacy. For instance, in France, the data protection regulator was able to fine Google 50 million for violation of policies related to consent. Yet Edward Snowden warned of the real danger of GDPR becoming a paper tiger. That the problem is not a data protection, the problem is data collection. Restricting data collection is not even being discussed in India. A weak board combined with the lack of universal literacy and the poor digital and financial literacy, as well as an overburdened legal system, mean that the chances that citizens will be able to seek legal recourse when privacy harms or inflicted on them are slim. Let's go to the next page. It's about the data protection bill, which was introduced in this year. Let us go to the next page, which is behind the hype. Independent verification is crucial in on claims about material LK99. Stippling dissent. Pakistan establishment seems intent on using all means to thwart Imran. Purging the nation's data politics. Claims, counter claims in Neyveli land. Farmers protest position bid PMK2 enters the fray. The quest for a room temperature superconductor. The decades long search for a room temperature and ambient pressure superconductor has been arduous, spanning technologies, materials, and theories. No demonetization proposal. ED takes Tamil Nadu minister into custody as he hears Bilkis Bano against premature release of 11 convicts. Manipur note says only 1 rape and murder case till July 31. The note submitted in the Supreme Court mentions 3 cases of rape or gang rape, 6 cases of assault on a woman, 70 cases of murder registered as on July 31. In May, 107 deaths were reported. Assam Rifles unit replaced at checkpoint in the state. Rahul Gandhi returns to Parliament as MP. Waiting at the main entrance to the Parliament building, MPs from the India bloc distributed sweets and welcomed him with loud cheers. The Lok Sabha member from Wayanad went to Mahatma Gandhi's statue to offer his respects before entering the house. However, the house was adjourned within minutes. The Gandhi and Congress Parliamentary Party chairperson Sonia Gandhi also visited the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam office in Parliament to offer their respect to former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, the late Karunanidhi, on his death anniversary. When reporters at the All India Congress Committee headquarters asked Mr. Gandhi for comment, he said, "It's a strange thing, even you people look happy." Several India bloc leaders hailed Mr. Gandhi return as an MP, with the Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav saying he hoped that the Uttar Pradesh Assembly membership of party leaders Ajam Khan and his son Abdullah Ajam too would be restored. While Jammu and Kashmir National Conference chief Farooq Abdullah said it is very good that Mr. Gandhi is back in the house. CPI General Secretary D. Raja said it will strengthen parliamentary democracy. BJP MP Sushil Kumar Modi, however, played down the restoration of Lok Sabha membership and asserted that Mr. Gandhi has not been acquitted and only a stay has been given on the conviction. He was there in Parliament earlier also. What difference did it make to the Congress? They still lost elections. So his being in the House should not make the people of the Congress too happy. Is it? It is just from crypto frauds raises to 1,144 crore. Center seeks more time to frame CAA rules. Fire breaks out at IIMS Delhi. No casualties reported. Court extends police custody of RPF constable till August 17. Prominent Jammu and Kashmir leaders move to Congress. Mediation bill passed in LSA to attempts to set up a council. 32% quota for tribals in Chhattisgarh school. Rajya Sabha clears Delhi services bill backed by 131 MPs. Bill will ensure corruption-free pro-people administration, says Shaw. One or two MPs voted against it. It moved to refer it to a select committee rejected. National Research Foundation bill cleared. Amid concerns, Lok Sabha passes a digital personal data protection bill. BJP plays opposition news outlet who are fat in links. Suspension of Congress member revoked. Notice for extension. What is this? Let's go to the next page. International cheetah exports will be consulted, government tells us. Court disposes of application by a conservationist, says the project is better lifted to the wisdom of experts in the field rather than the judiciary. It had earlier urged the government to move the big cats to a more conducive environment. India has 482 recognized medical colleges. Ministry. Lok Sabha passes Pharmacy Amendment Bill 2023. Idea basic structure has a debatable basis. Previous government did not focus on building infrastructure at LAC. Jaishankar. India made syrup found contaminated in Iraq, alerts HWHO. Excise Malabar to be held from August 11 to 21. Palestinian teenager shot by Israeli guard in West Bank dies. Philippines summons China and why for using water cannon and boats. France moves to ban for right party civitas for anti-Semitism. West African bloc ECO was to meet on Niger coup on Thursday. 9 killed in a pair of bombings in Pakistan. Nawaz will be next PA PM if PMLN returns to power. PM Shahbaz Sharif says Pakistan saw phenomenal progress under its leader elder brother's rule during 2013 to 17 and improved ties with other countries. Elections expected to be held in November. Cambodian king appoints Han Sen's son as new PM. Saudi Arabia talks on Ukraine helped build consensus, says China. Pure Thai announces fresh coalition with the government aligned party. The kingdom was unable to form a government after the reformist MFP fell short of a majority. Thousands of US sailors reached the Red Sea after Iran tensions. Pending GST appeals surged in quarter one. The number of pending appeals rose sharply to over 14,000 by June 30, 2023. Experts suggest the rise may be linked to the GST compliance drive since May and taxpayers opting to wait for the tribunals to kick up rather than approach the courts. India Cements logs Quayan last quarter one loss of 75 crore. MRF unveils steel brace radial ties for high-end bags. Banks wrote half in 9 years, 14.56 lakh crore of bad loans. Waris Energies raises 1,000 crore in equity funding. Auto part sales rose 33% in financial year 23. ACMA SEBI asks FPIs to trade 10% of corporate bonds via RFQs. US supply chain IPO price bond band fixed at IT 187 to 197 ISA Individuals filing income above 1 crore doubled. Ramco Cement's Q net dips to 79 crore. Banks loan against a gold jewelry to top 1 lakh crore soon. UAE is said to deter on 2 billion India food parks proposal. Daksha unmanned systems bags order from Indian Army. FADA blags inventory as July retail auto sales rise. Batters need to take more responsibility, says Adhika. Puran fined on 15% of his match fee for criticizing umpires. Skipper Rohit Banks and Mom are supported to win ODI's World Cup. Sunrisers Hyderabad appoints Vittori as head coach. Sacks Lara. Wasteful India adjusts Hard Korea in seesaw affair. The hosts also concede 11 penalty corners and even miss a penalty stroke before squeezing out a 3-2 victories to stay on top of the standings. Pakistan states first success in the competition. Men in blue hope to stay alive. Men in maroon eagles to break high 7-year jinx. Win the Vidit and Adi Harika battle on in Baku. Nihal gets post Dick, and I don't see why Bumrah can't return to where he was, says MC Grath. Pathak's top climb to the top of Indian hockey. England scraps past Nigeria on penalties. Australia trumps Denmark. Messi on the double as Miami makes the last right. Karnataka runs the risk of turning the clock back by confining top tier cricket to Bangalore. I'm also surprised that there is more viewership outside Bangalore and those supporters are very and passionate about the game. Indian wrestlers win 11 medals at World Under 17 Champions. So about year clients women's title, Aditi finishes tied 55th. Bhagat Kadam Pei clinches the gold in Sheffields. Deepak requests for relaxation to take part in Asian Games. Sai Kishore riding a wave with consistent performance on the domestic circuit in the past 2 years, including the Dulip and Diod trophies this season. The Lankit Vicar is inching closer to an India cap. Nigerian women making the country and contingent proud. Evolution and not against same-sex behavior in monkeys study. Same-sex sexual behavior in animals is considered a Darwinian paradox. If reproduction is critical to evolution, then non-reproductive behavior should have ceased. But a study has found that the rhesus macaque males same-sex sexual behavior has not compromised opportunities to evolve. The study says that male sex behavior in rhesus monkeys is polygenic, influenced by more than one gene. How to tell if a material is a superconductor? Scientists have been looking for such materials for decades. Now for their ability to transport heavy currents without any loss, a property that could revolutionize industrial and medical applications. Breastfeeding in the animal kingdom. This is the last two pages, guys. India's mining policy shift. Unused central fund under Jal Jeevan mission with the states. Individuals are reporting annual income of above 1 crore worth of NPS written up by banks in the last 9 financial years. Population of tigers in India in 2023 given ample protection. Past land diverted under Past Conversion Act. Conservation Act. No, you are English. The generative AI startup Purple, a cause for worry app or opportunity. Venture capitalists are showing interest in generative AI startups with several companies securing multi-million dollar deals and at significant valuations. However, there are concerns about the potential bubble in the generative AI space. Revolutionary poet Baladir and anti-caste activist Gadar passed away in Hyderabad on August 6. He is a Quij and the man who was one of the most prominent faces of the Telangana movement. Yes, guys, this is the last page, text and context page. I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading. And please read the newspaper for 2 hours to make you better in communication and also make you better in fluency. So if you just reading the newspaper loudly each and every day, it will make you really comfortable, really fluent in English as soon as very soon. So read at least 2 hours to make you better yourself in English fluency. And if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe the channel, like and comment, and see you in the upcoming videos. If you have any doubts, please leave the comment in the comment box. Doubts are in the comment box. I can help you out to resolve your doubts. Okay, bye, guys. See you in the upcoming videos. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.